I don't care what anyone says, painting your nails well is one of the most fundamental skills of classic glamour that you can ever know. I've been painting mine on non-stop rotation for the past 15 years, so I've pretty much perfected my technique, and today I'm going to show you everything you need to know to paint your nails perfectly. And yes, people will think you got them done at a nail salon. So welcome to the fundamentals of glamour. Start with already prepped nails to keep this video simple. Mine do look slightly yellow because I wear a lot of red nail polish, so they are already cleaned, scrubbed, polish free, cuticles are already pushed back, and they've been filed and shaped. This is a vital step, so do watch my other videos to learn more on that. I'd highly recommend the Demarko nail files. I've been using them for nearly 9 years. They are truly the best. I also love all of their nail instruments. I have an affiliate link below. If you used any oils or moisturizers, make sure you've given them time to sink in or that you've washed off any oily residue. Also, excuse my cuticles, I have a bit of a problem with biting them at the moment. Step 1, base coat. In my experience, any will do. For me, it's just a layer of protection from the coloured nail polish. It protects a little bit from staining, but it can also aid in helping the nail polish last longer. Just make sure it's a thin layer and that you let it dry fully before applying your colour. I apply the base coat very quickly because it won't be visible, but I'll show you the more precise technique next. Step 2, the first coat. Before we apply any colour, a few things to keep in mind if you want perfection. Always check the consistency. If it's thick or gloopy, do not even attempt to paint your nails with this, no matter how much you love that colour. You can try adding a few drops of nail polish remover or acetone. Make sure to mix it really well and you should get a more usable consistency, but if it's too far gone, it's too far gone. If you're in a very warm climate, your nail polish is more likely to go thick and gloopy. Cooler temperatures are much better for nail polish, so some people actually like to keep them in the fridge. The perfect consistency should be smooth and runny enough to form a droplet that falls off the brush or easily runs down the neck of the bottle. A word on brushes, because yes, they matter. The wider the brush, the better, as it covers more surface area and thus requires less brush strokes. The more brush strokes you have to do, the more chance for error. Thin brushes can work, but I find them to be a pain as they take more brush strokes, more redipping, and more effort to get a good cuticle line. If your brush has slightly curved edges, you're in luck. This will make it much easier to get a better cuticle line. The rounder and smoother the curve of the brush, the easier it will be to get a seamless corner around the cuticle. Cheap nail polishes will often have thinner brushes with square edges, so it just takes a bit more of a steady hand and precision to get a clean looking cuticle line. So it's a good idea to just check the brush before buying. But I will say I have had some cheaper nail polishes that have been surprisingly good, so some can surprise you. If you're enjoying this video so far, please give it a like. A good order to paint your nails in is to start with your pinky finger inward to avoid smudging what you've already painted. A good tip is to leave both thumbs to the very end, and I'll show you why in a minute. This probably goes without saying, but make sure you have a surface or something to anchor your arms. If I'm painting my nails at a table, I rest my arms on the table and I like to put a nail polish bottle under my finger to get a better angle. But I'm very often doing my nails while sitting on the sofa or on a bed, in which case I usually use my knees. I actually tend to keep the bottle in my hands. If you're not as confident, keep the bottle on a surface. So here is how you get the perfect coat. First, always shake the bottle before use. Now pay attention to this part because this is where most people go wrong. You have to have the right amount on your brush. So for short nails, this is what you're going to do. You get as much as you can on the brush, let any excess fall back into the bottle, then swipe one side lightly on the edge of the bottle. The perfect amount to have is not so much that it's forming a droplet, but you want enough to be a good glossy puddle of colour on that side. side. For long nails, I use a bit more, but most people have short nails. Also, careful that there are not more droplets coming down the stem of the brush, as they could flood the nail. So depending on the polish, sometimes I'll wipe the stem too. For the purpose of demonstrating, I'm starting with my middle finger. So with the polished side of the brush down, place the brush a little further away from the cuticle and then slowly push towards the cuticle to about 1 millimeter away, but do not touch the skin. Doing it this way is what's going to give you more control to get a neater cuticle line. A neat cuticle line is what will make your nails look like they've been professionally done. Then slowly drag the polish down to cover the rest of the nail. Then go ahead with each corner, making sure that the cuticle edges line up to create one seamless edge. This is where a good curved brush can really do the work for you. And if you go too far or mess up like I have done here, this is where your thumbnails come in handy, because you can use them to clean up any edges or mistakes. But you can also use a cuticle stick if you have one. For any bigger mistakes, don't worry, we can clean these up later. But if you've flooded the cuticle, which is when you've put too much nail polish on, sometimes it's really hard to rectify this, so you might need to start again. If you start to run out of polish on your brush, which I often do having long nails, just swivel the brush in your hand to use the other side and just redip if you need to. Again, just make sure when you redip that you don't have too much on your brush. Swipe one side or tap the brush on the edge of the bottleneck to release some of the excess. I also like to run what's left on the brush along the free edge of the nail. This can give a more professional looking finish, and it also helps protect your nails so they'll be a little bit more durable, and it also can help the nail polish last a little bit longer. With a good nail polish, you should be able to paint the whole nail in about 3 strokes if your nails are a normal length. Don't worry if you have to do more than this, but generally the more strokes you do, the harder the nail polish is to work with, because it will start to thicken, so you can end up with a surface that's too thick or sticky or streaky if you keep going back over it and fussing with it. The less strokes you do, the smoother the overall finish and the quicker it takes to dry. This is why it's really important to have the right amount on your brush. Because I have longer nails, I usually prefer to actually do the whole cuticle line first before dragging the polish out to cover the rest of the nail. So you could try this way too if it's easier for you. The first coat should be a relatively thin coat, so don't worry if it looks a bit translucent or if it's not quite perfect. The second coat should cover this. Step 3, for heaven's sake, let the first coat dry. In my experience, the key to getting the best outcome is the amount of time you leave between the first coat and the second coat. This will make or break your outcome. When most people go wrong is they will feel the first coat, they'll think it's dry enough, and they'll go in with the second coat. And I get it, you've got things to do, you've got places to be. Though it may seem like you're saving time, it's actually counterintuitive, because the wet second coat will kind of fuse to the not quite dry, tacky first coat, creating a thick and pliable consistency that may feel dry to the touch after about 10 minutes, but if you knock it, you'll get a huge indentation or a huge gouge out of your nail polish because underneath didn't dry fully. If you've done this, it can sometimes take the whole day to harden properly. It also depends on the nail polish as well. This can also happen if your coats are too thick. So if you're not going to be using a quick dry top coat, which I'll talk about in a minute, I'd highly recommend waiting as long as you can before doing the second coat. At the very least, 20 to 30 minutes. Again, it does depend on the nail polish. That way, when you apply the second coat, it will actually get a chance to dry properly. The only exception to this dry time rule is if you're using a quick dry top coat. That way you can get away with waiting only about 10 minutes. I'll show you the best top coat that I've found in a minute. Of course, all of this only applies to normal nail polish. This is not like gels or acrylic where you can dry it and cure it really, really fast under a UV light. UV light will not work on normal nail polish. A tip to feel if it needs more time to dry is by lightly running your fingertip across the surface. If it feels slightly tacky or resistant at all, it needs more time. It should be dry enough that your fingertip should run smoothly across. You should even be able to run your nail very lightly across without marking the nail polish. And as we said before, your nails will dry faster in cooler temperatures. Some people even like to use ice water to speed up the drying time. I have tried this, it can help a little, but in my experience it's not always reliable. A really good quality nail polish will usually dry a bit faster, but sometimes, even if it's the same brand, certain colour formulas will behave slightly differently. So because drying time is so vital when you're doing your nails, the best time to do your nails is when you have nothing else to do with your hands. For a good hour or two, the evening is usually your best bet. So for example, watching TV or your favorite YouTubers or reading or doing work at your laptop, as long as you're typing very carefully. Try not to do your nails before doing your hair or showering or cleaning or anything where you'll be using your hands a lot. So back before I discovered the quick dry top coat, when I was a teenager, sometimes I would even do the first coat in the evening and I'd do the second coat the next day, because I always found that the second coat would dry faster that way and it would just give an overall better result. Step 4, the second coat. So once it's dry enough, I do exactly the same technique for the second coat. This is also the chance to fill in any gaps on the sides that you might have missed on the first coat. When it comes to doing your least dominant hand, practice makes perfect. But if you really struggle, it's best to keep the hand with the brush anchored so that the brush can stay as still as possible, and you can move the hand that you're painting instead of the brush, as you can see my demonstrating. I don't usually need to do this because I've had so much practice. It's gotten easier over the years. An important tip that a lot of people don't think about: put your hair up. The most annoying thing is when you've just perfectly painted your nails and then your hair drops out from behind your ear and ruins it, or the wind blows and a strand of hair or something gets into it. Also, if you used cotton wool beforehand, make sure you've washed off and removed all traces of cotton wool from your fingers and your workspace. It's like your worst enemy. When you get a little hair or fiber in your nail polish, it is so annoying. Step 5, clean up, and also let them dry, obviously. At this point, if you need to clean up any edges, you can use a cuticle stick or a Q-tip dipped in nail polish remover. Especially if you don't have the steadiest hands, this can make a massive difference to the overall look. And finally, step 6, top coat. The game changer for me is using a quick dry top coat. This one by Sally Hansen called Insta Dry is my favorite. I put off buying this for so long. I don't know why. I wish I bought it sooner. It's about £7, which can seem like kind of a lot for a nail polish, but it's 100% worth the money, especially when you consider how much you're saving from getting them done at a salon and also the time you're saving. This one has a great consistency and it really does dry super fast, and it hardens my nail polish as well. It gives them a really beautiful shiny glossy finish. A top coat is always worth doing because it adds another layer of thickness and shine, which not only helps the nail polish to look better and last longer, but it also adds another layer of protection to the natural nails. Having long nails, this is really useful for me because it prevents them from breaking. I probably wouldn't bother going with any other kind of top coat. For me, I'd only use a quick dry one because it hardens and dries so much faster. This top coat says to wait at least 2 minutes before you apply it, but I like to wait at least 5. I kind of use the same technique, but I'm a lot more quick with it because it doesn't need the same amount of precision. Out of curiosity, I also tried these Barry M quick dry drops, but don't waste your money. They are a very strange consistency. They almost feel like oil and they don't do much to add any shine or extra protection like a top coat does. Step 7, time to relax and let them dry. Try not to do anything for a good 30 minutes, but probably about 10 to 15 minutes if you used a quick dry top coat. If your nails are in good condition and you don't pick or peel at them, the nail polish should last a good week. I redo my nails about every 7 to 12 days. If you made it to the end of the video, comment me the nails emoji. Now I'm sure you're wondering how I got my natural nails to grow so long and strong. Well, this video here will reveal all my secrets, so go give it a watch to find out how. Bye.